Okay, and we're recording.
Okay, I'm doing a reading, a natal reading, and reading for Rebecca Melendez for the year coming up. I'll do a solar return to her birthday, which is in August on the 24th, and I will do her transit reading from today on right on till the end of the year. So, again, this is January 20th, and it's 12:20. So before we begin, Becky, do you have any questions?
I don't. I'm just very much looking forward to the reading, and I'm looking at taking it as an open book, and just I think it's going to be a year of exploration and change for me. So I'm just very excited to see what the reading has to say.
Great. Okay, so what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to talk about your natal chart. And your natal chart is like your astrological DNA. So it talks about what you're good at, what issues that may be uncomfortable that are coming up for you time and time again throughout your life. It may talk about your weaknesses, but what the reason why I like to give this reading, because it lets you know where you've come from. And when we know where we've come from, it's really a good foundation to proceed forward. Now, before I go any further as well, we are dealing with things that are fated in your chart. So I may tell you something and you may say, oh, that's why that always happens to me, or oh, I never understood why I was like that. And so that can be a good confirming, like, oh yeah, I have that in my chart. But now when we come to the fate versus free will, what you choose to do about it is consistently and absolutely your own. So even though you have tendencies, good or bad, you also have the free will to work on those strengths or to try to alleviate those weaknesses. And so that's one of the reasons I'm going to talk to you about your natal chart. And sometimes it's very confirming for people that they can realize, oh yeah, okay, now I understand. So, okay, so let's go into it. And how I'm going to do this is I'm going to talk planet by planet, because as the planets have their own specific energy, I'm going to relate that energy of the planet to your own personal chart. So I'm going to go through the sun right down through to Pluto. And I'm not going to read word for word, but I will be sending you a written report. I'm basically going to highlight some of the areas of the reading that I think you will find pertinent. And I also want to mention, as we go, there'll be repetitions of certain things, and that's just a confirmation saying, yes, that's almost like some saying, okay, that's true. If you have a certain information about yourself repeated over and over in the chart, you know that is in all likelihood to be a truth. So one of the phrases from another astrologer, an older astrologer, it said, mark more than three, so shall it be. So I just wanted to let you know that as we start. Okay, so the sun is our first planet, and this is who we are on the outside. It's our drive, our vitality. It's how we present ourselves to the world. It's where we shine, where we express our vocation. It's our principles, our sense of identity, and it's our basically our energy, our health to move forward. So your sun is in the ninth house. It's in Virgo, and it rules the ninth. So this tells me that you are modest, you're discriminating, thoughtful, and everything you do, you like to do well. Being the Virgo, you have a great attention to detail. So try not to carry that to extremes. So that means, don't become fussy or overcritical. Though you worry a lot, you're not easily discouraged. So that's a real good way to be. And once you overcome your sense of modesty, you can be very articulate and express your ideas well. Now, I just want to interject here is that this is a birth chart. So this is you as a child evolving to an adult. So we'll talk about things that you're evolving into. So when I say you're modest, that could have been when you were younger, or if you were, you know, overcome or a little shy. As we move forward, we learn how to look at those skills or look at those weaknesses and do something about them. So you're fond of learning as well as you're service oriented, but you do enjoy to have a structure to your life. So that helps for you to know what's going on during the day so that you can plan your day. Um, this is one thing that kept on coming up, and I'll repeat it through the chart, is that you are meant to be a teacher. This is kind of your vocation. Now, I don't mean traditionally a teacher in a school, a teacher in your work, a teacher for your friends, however you want to apply that philosophy of imparting information to others. So you're able to tune into those people and you're tuning into their mind and you're able to communicate on their wavelength. So that's a really an amazing quality to have. So if people need them to explain something, you're the go-to girl. Does that resonate with you?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you're also a traveler. You're an explorer. You're always seeking new worlds to conquer. And you would do very well with foreign languages. So if you ever wanted to learn a language, that would come very easily to you. You understand life through your heart as well as your mind. So it's a really nice combination. Your diplomacy is strong, and you're going to have a approach to religion and philosophy. At one point in your life, you can become involved in something spiritual. You may be skeptical now, you may not be, but that is prevalent in your chart. Um, you love to broaden your mind, and broadening your mind through learning, through education, through experience, and through travel is the key to your well-being. You're hardworking, you're competitive. Again, you are traveling, you could travel very easily through foreign countries. You like to pick up people in the world, their different philosophies, their rituals, and how you deal with the world in general can be of interest to you. Do you have more of a world philosophy rather than an internal philosophy? And that's the mark of a Sagittarian. And why I say that is because at the time you were born, the constellation Sagittarius was rising above the horizon, which means that that energy is very prevalent in your chart. Not only that, is that the planet that rules Sagittarius is Jupiter, which is in your first house, which is who you are in that ruling sign, Sagittarius. So even though you're a Virgo, you will approach a lot of things in a very Sagittarian-like manner, which is very worldly, philosophy, outgoing, learning, travel. All those will encompass who you are. Um, you are able to be ambitious and you're going to be very successful. You can be quick-tempered, but with that, you're able to live and let live. You don't shy away from danger, and sometimes you've been known to rush into things where angels fear to tread. So you may experience contention and discord within yourself because you have that sun opposing moon in your chart. So you tend to look at things with the heart and the head, and sometimes they often don't meld together. So you're trying to reconcile those female and male principles. And you may have experienced contention between your parents or your partners. People like you. You're intellectual at times. You can be judicious, and you always take a broad view. And challenge is a thing that propels you into creative endeavors. And that's another thing I kept on seeing in the chart. Explore your creativity because it seems to be, this would be a great outlet for you. However that would be, whether it be fine arts or acting or music, anything along writing, anything along under that umbrella would be a really great thing for you to explore. Sometimes you underestimate your abilities because you're extremely sensitive and you try to kind of put yourself in like a protect yourself. So don't let yourself become the victim. You're able to, maybe when you were younger, you could have seen yourself in that way. But again, you're on a learning path with your particular chart. When I see this, is that learning knowledge of all forms and kinds is crucial for you. You'll learn by trial and error, and you'll overcome conflict. So you're going to have to be, there'll be situations where conflict of ego may be handled in regard to a male in your life. It's usually the father. It could be necessary to cope with difficulties in marriage too, or with business partners. And you may have difficulty getting along with people until you understand your own personality. So since you definitely need relationships with others, learning true cooperation is going to be really important to you. So your strong personality may require toning down a bit so that others can find a way to interact with you and understand you. So that's your sun. That's how you present yourself to the world. Any questions?
No, that makes total sense.
Okay, great. So now we're going to move on to the moon. Now
Oh,
the moon is, sorry,
I just wanted to stop you. Are you wearing a headset by chance?
I am. Is it too,
There's a little bit of reverberation, so maybe if there's like a thing that comes down your microphone, just try to pull it out just a touch.
okay, how's that?
It's a little bit better.
Okay, because I have, just pause for a second. Okay, I'm going to try to get another headset.
Okay.
Okay, so we're moving on to the moon. So the moon is who we are on the inside. It's our emotional state. It's our feminine side. It's our needs, our feelings, our habits. So the moon is in Pisces, which is a very sensitive sign. It's in the third house, which is the house of communication, and it rules you directly, and it also rules your home, the fourth house. So you demonstrate an understanding and affection with most people. Sometimes you can be emotionally naive, and you're willing to overlook other people's shortcomings and deficiencies. The big thing with Pisces moons is they can be easily hurt. And sometimes it's hard to face cold, hard facts, especially when younger. And you suffered because your feelings are so sensitive. And this is very common with a Pisces moon. You have overdeveloped romanticism and optimism, but you want to believe the best about everything. So you've kind of got those rose-colored glasses. It's not a bad thing. It's just you've got to know when to take them off and put them on. You demonstrate an understanding and affection for most people. Oh, okay, I've already said that. You're sympathetic to the underdog. You change your mind often. And this is a very intuitive position for the moon, so which means you're very intuitive. You will encounter many obstacles and sorrows before you reach your goals. Your mother might have been very involved in her own life, and at times it was hard for you to see her clearly. You may be the life of the party, and you excel at telling risque stories. So you go from this sensitive person to almost like a 180. It's like, okay, I've got to switch into my little funny armor.
so that I'll be kind of over the top, so people don't really get to see the soft underbelly of me. So that worked for you in the past, but it was only when you were younger and you didn't really understand how you fit into the world and how you saw your place in the world. Does that make sense to you?
It does in the past. I think
Yeah.
I'm much better now with balancing out those two, but they're both very prevalent.
Yeah. And also, too, you're the life at the party, and you may have what's commonly known as that bedroom voice. So you can use your voice as an asset for you. And that's really interesting because you tend to be very articulate, but when you use your voice, it's not only what you're saying, it's like 50% of what you're saying, but the rest is how you're saying it. So you can put innuendos in your voice. So you're very creative with that, and that would help you, especially in a teaching situation, because you could be really captivating. You've got a remarkable quality as well for premonition, and you enjoy being nurtured, but yet you can switch that around and be the nurturer the next day. Siblings are going to be a strong part of your life, as well as the neighborhood you live in. That will be very important as well. You're retrospective. You're intellectually curious. You're restless. You like to travel, and you're easily swayed by your environment. Again, siblings come into prominence, and they can be good help to you. So don't feel like you can't ask for their help because they'll be there for you. You learn most by listening to others. You have a good memory, but when it comes to that sort of thing, you don't like repetition. So that routine part of that learning can be a real turnoff for you. You are probably involved a lot in emotional crises, which led to health upsets. And with that, your relationship to your parents was crucial, and when you were younger, as to how you felt about yourself. So we see this in your chart. So these things are almost like they're foreordained, but again, as I said earlier, it's what you do with that information and how you learn and grow from it. Because, I mean, when I talk to you about things like this, I talk to you as an opportunity to learn from them, not as in any way derogatory, because we all have them, every single person on this planet. You have a moon square Neptune, and your Neptune's right on your ascendant, which is very linked to you. So this can lead to escapism through alcohol, drugs, or fantasy. And part of that could have been extrapolated by a parent that was not always there for you. So there's some things that you need to do to fill the pain or fill the void or get rid of the pain, more likely. You need to prove yourself. You don't want to appear emotionally vulnerable, and you may tend to draw too quickly from potential relationships. Others could be intimidated in this way by your intensity. So your ability to achieve on your own can lead to your success. So it's always nice to have friends. You can always ask for help, but initially you're the one that's going to create your own life, your own happiness, your own success. And that's going to be through internally rather than externally. Again, sensitive to the point of being touchy at times, but you struggle to find everybody else's emotional difficulties, and you're learning to keep your own emotions under control. When you were younger, it was very hard for you to handle your anger, and especially with outbursts in the home. Because of this emotional vulnerability, you did need to rely on support from others. So yeah, the moon is a sensitive, touchy place for you, and it's an important part of your chart. And everybody has different moons, and yeah. So, but again, we don't look at this as a deficit. We look at this as just a neutral relaying of information to provide you with opportunity to look at that and say, oh yeah, okay, I can see where I was like that, or oh yeah, I need to work on that. And it's good to know that the chart is confirming that I am the way I am. So now we're going to move on to Mercury. So Mercury is our intellectual thought process. It is our dexterity. It is how we communicate. It's our mental ability. It's how we rationalize. Now you're a Virgo, and Virgo is ruled by the planet Mercury. So Mercury is an important planet in your chart. So you think dramatically. So you can have like these beautiful inspirations or these great ideas. And you think with your heart, and which is kind of it's kind of a oxymoron, as in thinking mentally with your heart, but you do. Your passion is what will bring you forward through your greatest achievements. So remember that when you're when you're about to embark on anything that will take a fair amount of time. Is my heart engaged in this? Because that will help you gain the momentum to carry you forward so that it won't be drudgery or hard work. It'll be more inspirational, because for you, it's a very thin side to the penny. Just one way to the left, it's drudgery. One way to the right, you can come up with these amazing ideas. So step back, take a pause, and try to get your emotional feeling and say, how do I feel about this? As well as, is this going to work for me financially? Does it fit into my routine? But the heart always needs to be involved, because it's your buddy on your shoulder. Okay, which is interesting for Mercury. You have a sense of innate refinement. You like to make a good impression on others, and you like to be considered an authority in your chosen field. So you're very ambitious, and you can act with a very executive ability. Again, excellent teacher. Theater, fine arts, education, stock market, all kind of come within that wheelhouse. Higher education may be of interest to you, or philosophy, foreign countries, culture, as again, you love to travel. You could be anthropology, history, professors, teachers. All that falls under the line of your Mercury. Yeah, it's important for you to express yourself. Communication is like one of your foundations. So any way that you can find an outlet to do that, that's going to be a really important part of your energy. Like, that's going to give you the vitality. It's going to feed your heart. It's also going to feed your brain. You'll have more than one profession in your lifetime. Again, one of those could be teaching. Think carefully, though, before making commitments. You probably will have success in any field you choose. And you'd dislike being proven wrong. So that kind of will spur you to, okay, I need to get all my facts. I need to get that. I need to get everything down so that I know what I'm talking about. Age, social, financial conditions don't matter at all in relationships to you. Your need is more for moral support and appreciation. So all those other things, they'll be very secondary. You need freedom. Freedom is one of your key things as well. And you need an intellectual relationship if you're looking for a partner. They may be eye candy, but they need to be brain candy as well. You will seek a partner of different social, ethic, or religious background than yours, or this person could even come from a foreign country. Again, travel, always important to you. And it would be, maybe when Kian gets older, it would be good to choose a career where you could travel, because you would do very well with that. Teaching, again, highlighted. So do you see how we're coming back to that over and over and over again? So we're talking about expressing yourself, communicating, having your heart involved, teaching, being committed as far as knowing all the facts. All these things wrap up into who you are and how you move towards the world. You're always open to new ideas. You like getting new ideas or grasping and learning new ideologies. Your intuition is strong, and it mostly leads you in the right direction. So that can be a real lifesaver at times. You don't like people that have narrow or biased thinking. You're resourceful, witty, quick to grasp and understand new subjects, and you think outside the box. And you need to be known as different. You don't want to be a cookie cutter type of person. So that Sagittarian flavor of being different and unique is a good part, or an important part, I should say, of your personality. Okay, so now we're going to move on to Venus. And Venus represents our finances, our money, possessions. It represents love, our relationships, beauty, as well as the arts. So you're idealistic and poetic. You enjoy the finer things of life. And you can be self-indulgent, but you're rarely wasteful. Sensitive again, easily hurt. But you pretend under that umbrella of pretend, oh, I don't care. Doesn't bother me what you say. But it actually does. Your home is very important to you because you have Venus in Cancer. And Venus in Cancer, they like a good home. They like to have a nice home. They like to cook. They like to have people over. They like to have their home as kind of a nurturing place. And I know this because I have Venus in Cancer too, so I can relate. Financial and domestic security is very important to you. And in your partnerships, you may have been more of a parent than a mate. But the reassurance of being loved by your partner is very essential. And with sexual encounters, candlelight, soft music, flowers, wine really make a difference for you. So that's kind of the man that you need to meet. Has to be sensitive, has to be a romantic, has to be intellectually your equal. So you'll need to look at somebody who you will see as your intellectual and how would I say it, emotional equal. So those two things, and that's the type of person that you need to look for. Now I'm looking at your chart and your Venus, and it has only one aspect, which is to Uranus, which means that through your life you will have difficulties in partnerships. That is kind of one of the signature things in your chart. That's not to say that you won't meet someone and you'll find the love of your life, but you'll have to pick out the weeds before you can find the roses. You relish, as I said, being different, and you're willing to fight for your independence or freedoms. And you can shock people with your off-the-wall behavior too. So, and you get a real big kick out of that, and that's very Sagittarian as well. So that's your Venus. So we didn't go into a lot about Venus because, again, it's a work. Your Venus is a work in progress. Although it's in an Earth sign, so that's very good. So you can enjoy that kind of highlight for Venus. You enjoy beautiful things. You enjoy flowers. You enjoy the arts. You enjoy the good things in life. And you can take pleasure from those. So now we have your Mars. And your Mars is next to your Sun, which is kind of important. And it's in the 9th house as well. And the 9th house is the house of learning. So Mars deals with our force, power, competition, sexual energy, competitiveness, assertiveness, action, drive. So if we were to look at the planet Mars, we would look at Mars like a verb rather than a noun or a subject. You have Mars in Virgo in the 9th. You're enthusiastic if you feel that you can contribute to a good cause. You need a routine. You tend to be idealistic sexually, but you're hardly platonic. Gardening would be a really good hobby for you. Although you're skeptical at times, and skeptical in terms of religion or spirituality, as long like a practice, ethical or religious principles, you could work into that later on during your life and find something, because again, one of the signature things is that in your chart is you need something to believe in. You need something that's higher than you, like a higher purpose, and that doesn't necessarily have to be religious. I mean, it can be spiritual. It can be some life force or something that you need as an outside reference, that you are able to make sense of the world and your place in it. Does that resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay. Again, travel. You have also, too, I got this coming up in the chart again. You could have been in sports. Like, sports is a very necessary physical activity. Movement of the body is always going to be crucial in your life. And when younger, you could have gone in that direction, in that sports direction, if you had chose to. I mean, there is a propensity to do that, but, that's your choice, right? Again, we have that fated thing versus free will. You have little patience with social butterflies. You get pleasure from sports or creative outlets or physical activity. You get along really well with children, but you get along best with them when they've reached the age of reason. You prefer to live your life on your own terms. The big thing that you're coming into during this lifetime is to have that ability to face up to who you are. So not only recognize and celebrate your strengths, but also have compassion and recognize your weaknesses. You have a lot of drive, and it's good to channel the drive into productive areas. So the downside of this is not to scatter your energies too much. Sometimes this intensity can cause physical problems, such as a nervous stomach. You're able to physically and mentally work long hours with less rest than most people. You're always willing to rise to any challenge. And it's interesting because you are attracted to people who give you a hard time. But it's okay, because sometimes they're the only people you respect, because, oh, okay, you're telling me like it is. Now I know where I stand. It's important to learn the art of compromise with these people. So even though they're kind of OTT, you recognize, okay, they're telling the truth, but I need to look at, okay, they're not always right, or sometimes they may have issues themselves. So you tend to weigh that into the balance. You appreciate the honesty, and yet you're able to disregard the negativity that can be underlying. And when younger, this would have been quite painful for you, but now you're getting to recognize your own sense of values, your own sense of self-worth, and you're able to look at and able to glean the honesty out from the, not dishonesty, but the color of the lens that the people have conveyed this information to you with. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're moving on to Jupiter. So Jupiter represents wealth, leisure time, the higher mind, optimism, growth, expansion, morality, indulgent, philosophic reasoning, vision, and idealism. And this is an important planet for you as well. So here we are talking about Mercury, which is very important. And we're also looking at Jupiter here because it's in your first house. And Jupiter is the planet, your ruling planet. Now, even though your sun is in Virgo and you're known as a Virgo, Jupiter actually rules your chart, wonderful planet to have as a ruler. So you can sense opportunity and you're able to act upon it. You love young people as well as animals. You're rarely a subordinate, and it's not great to be a follower in your life. You actually need to be a leader because you really do, you get, because the Virgo part of you is able to get all the facts. The Sagittarian part, which is the Jupiter, which rules your chart, is able to use those facts and teach them because Jupiter is the quintessential teacher. So having that rule your chart, being in your first house, is like really paramount. So that would be good for you to recognize, to say, okay, that's a real strong point in my chart. Let's take advantage of that. You're optimistic. You're fond of luxury. You rarely spend money. You rarely spend money foolishly, but you can spend it on a whim. You love travel and you love the open air. Big is better than small. Like cozy rooms, yeah, not so much. You like a lot of space around you. With Jupiter in the first house, there's a propensity for weight problems. So that's actually in your chart. Your key word is freedom of thought, speech, or action. You were really restless in your early life, but you're idealistic, generous, and courageous. And you can use those things, and you have an attention-getting laugh. So when you laugh, people pay attention. So you're kind of one of those people that rarely get passed up. You're not unnoticed. So people either really hate you or they really like you, but you're never ignored. So you've got that going on in your chart. You have a strong emotional attachment to your parents, especially in your latter years. There's a skeleton in your closet here. So when you were younger, something happened to you, and you may never have told anyone, or you may have told one or two people, but that's prevalent in your chart as well. Your home, that was a secret unhappiness, and there was a certain spiritual aloneness that needed to be dealt with that. So, yeah, and the reason I bring that up is that, again, siblings could play a role in helping you with this, and that would have been maybe somebody to turn to when you were younger, because this did happen when you were younger. Your own home itself now, as you're older, will play a meaningful role in your life, as we talked about that Venus in Cancer. So your life will serve as a retreat from the world, where you recharge your batteries, where you'll find your sense of beauty, where you'll feel your comfort. So home will always be important to you. Now, having said that, you could travel for your job, but you will have a home wherever you want. And so it could be anywhere. So I don't always see you being where you are. I could see you being in other countries just as easy as I could see you there. And perhaps now having a child, that's not practical, but when you get older, that may be very prevalent for you. Let's see, Jupiter square Pluto, not so much. You could be an adventurer or a gambler. That's about it. So now we're going into Saturn. So Saturn is one of those heavy planets, our sense of duty, discipline, hard work. It's what we fear. It's our organizational ability. It's the taskmaster. It also represents time. So your Saturn's in Gemini in the 7th house. So that means that Gemini is the mental kind of sign. So that's a really great place for Saturn to be. You can be systematic and logical, and you can detach yourself from situations coolly and rationally. You have good reasoning and problem-solving ability, good writing skills, as well as intellectual and even scientific fields. Again, teaching comes up. You like to study and will continue to learn throughout your life. Now here, your weak point is your lungs. Okay, so you really shouldn't smoke. I don't know if you still smoke, but um, yeah, it's not a great place for that will take a toll on you. Especially too because Gemini represents not only our lungs, but it represents our nervous system. So being nervous, like having issues with sleep or being restless or having overly quickness of thought will all be kind of under that umbrella. So things like meditation or yoga or anything that you center into the body would be extremely helpful. Marriage or partnerships could prove difficult and disappointing for you. Um, you could be attracted to someone older or younger. And it would be unwise to marry before you have come to grips with yourself and the outside world. So having said that, later would be better. But again, too, I don't see what indicates in your chart is that if you do meet someone, I don't think marriage will be on the table for you. I think it will be, oh, let's live together, let's travel together, let's exchange ideas, let's be co-partners. Does that resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay. You can be ambitious for money and you'll work hard for it. Even though people see you as sometimes breezy, you're really quite practical. You could be good with investments. You're highly motivated, and you're happiest when you can do this in a unique and individualistic way as you thrive on mental challenge. Again, foreign languages is will come easy to you. Again, don't scatter your energies in too many directions. You could be a born talker. You will find it easy to learn, and you love books and reading. And the public can play a role in this earning ability. So sales would be a really good field. Anywhere where you are involved with people is going to be a really good direction for you to go. Again, the need for a partner, because we're dealing with Saturn in the 7th house. Saturn is our house of partnerships. So not only romantic partners, but business partners as well. So it's, again, you will need a partner who proves intellectually stimulating, who you can discuss and argue ideas, concepts, and theories with. So this has got to be kind of, and you could probably meet him in your work. That's not off the table. Again, freedom, you have a respect for knowledge, and you're bored by people who don't use your mind because you're a born fact finder. You like to work in a group. One-on-one does not come easily with you unless you're the leader. So you could be there, but you're the idea giver. You're the one, let's do this. Okay, I'm going to organize this. So that's kind of the more comfortable place for you to be. You had very dominating parents, and you had to work to give support and receive love, and a lot of times you dealt with loneliness and depression. Support will come from other people, and you will do your best in any position where high standards, morality, and diligence are needed and admired. So that's a really kind of a key thing. So it doesn't only have to work with your heart, but they have to have a sense of ethical principles. Because if everything's kind of going on the sly, you'll be like, hey, like I can't get on board with this. And then what'll happen is that your job will become, or your career will become your job rather than your vocation. Okay, so that's Saturn. And now we're going to Uranus. So Uranus is our sense of originality, it's electricity, it's magic, the occult. It's our futuristic side of us. It's the rebel, the unusual. So again, that meaningful relationship, because Uranus is in Libra, the planet of relationships, it'll be more important than the legal contract that goes with it. You have new concepts about justice. You may have had marital problems. With your vision, you could be really great in world affairs. because you're original and imaginative, and you're humanitarian. Again, better leader than a follower. And through your life, you will have several career changes. And a unique or an unusual kind of career would always appeal to you. We're moving on to Neptune, and Neptune is our planet of dreams, illusion, delusion, spirituality, mystique, maritime matters, poetry, drugs, anything along the nebulous quality of things. That's where Neptune is. And Neptune is in your first house. So you need that slant for religious or philosophical value system. And you're always searching for the deeper meaning in life. And this is an interesting thing about you. It's not, people think they know you, but a lot of times they don't. And you're very changeable. Like, you can have that chameleon-like property. And one day you walk out of the house and you look like $1,000,000. And the next day, sweatpants, hair up in a knot on the top of your head, and it's like, I don't give a shit attitude. And that's kind of very Neptunian and how you approach the world. But you do depend on other people's reactions, and you like to see people's reactions to you. Because you're so perceptive and intuitive, that can be a real positive. The downside is that you can be unreliable at times. But, as you get older, we work on these things. So now we're going to Pluto, and Pluto is kind of the planet that kind of takes no prisoners. It's heavy. It's our obsessions. It's our deep, darkest part of us. It's where we open the closet. So your Pluto is in the 10th house, which is your house of career. You have an intense wish to be in charge, and you're willing to fight authority in order to achieve your goals. You're very strategic. You're a great planner. Again, you like to be the leader in your own circle or profession. Again, loved or hated, but never ignored. You enter into relationships with great intensity. Like, it's just like, whoa, it's like all or nothing. And a lot of your friendships will have a very lasting influence on your life. Because of your strength of spirit, people are really drawn to you. And you like to know what makes people tick. So it's not only that you get something from them, they also get something from you. Family, friends, and coworkers will look for you during your life. They'll look to you for guidance, and you rarely let them down. So you're really great that way. So that's your natal chart, how you are from the time you were young to who you are now and into the future, but beyond. So any questions or concerns or comments that you'd like to make before we go into the year coming up for you?
No, I think it resonates so closely. There's some themes that, I don't know, have just been kind of playing in the background of my mind, and yeah, they've been called out several times during the reading. So I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I know why I've been pondering these certain things. Other than one thing that didn't resonate with me, everything else is like bang on.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. And, it's okay not to have everything that I'm reading resonate with you. It's more of an opportunity to show you, give you some astrological information on you. But again, the free will is whether you choose to enjoy that information and resonate with it, or look at the information and say, no, that's not me at all, and I know me because I've lived X amount of years on this life, and that's everything that that you say about this is valid. And even if you had some things that you weren't totally that you didn't understand or that you didn't agree with. I mean, that's what the chart is for. We want to look at this and we want to see this as an opportunity to question and to learn.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just wanted to wrap up basically. So the things that came out for me as I'm reading your chart is that you're sensitive, you're a leader, you're a teacher, you like to be different, you have to pay attention to your nervous system, you're artistic, physical activity is very important to you, and you need something to believe in. And relationships will always be personal relationships, or maybe even one-on-one professional relationships may be something that you'll need to work on. Okay, so now we're going to your solar return, and your solar return is when the sun returns to the exact same position as your birth sun. So the sun takes a year to revolve around the zodiac. So now we look at what's coming up for you in your life for this year. Now, because we look at our solar return on our birth time, this will start or will have started in August of 2018, and maybe even before then, and will probably reach to approximately your birth time, which is August 24th of 2019. So you may already have some of these things that are coming up for you that you resonate with. You have only one fire planet. So our planets are divided, our signs are divided into earth, air, fire, water. And because you only have one fire planet, you need to work with your present possibilities and the immediate issues that are going on around you. So right now you don't have the time really for physical long-range plans, because right now your everyday needs must be met. And this is the time to deal realistically with those issues that need your attention. So you actually need to focus on the here and now rather than on the tomorrow. It's difficult for you to be inspired and creative when your basic needs are so important. So handle those needs and set that basic thing into a firm foundation. Because right now you may not feel that inspired. So this could be a year of maybe that you're not as enthusiastic as you usually are, or that you have a depletion of energy. So if your philosophy is not consistent with your experience, give up. It's kind of a good time to give up those false hopes, like, okay, this isn't working for me, I need to go in another direction. You have, again, as I said, you had strong philosophical beliefs. So test them in real life situations. See how they apply. So if you have plans for the future, stop dreaming, start working. So this is the time to get out of your head and start putting those plans into action. Use this time to get your feet on the ground. So it's the time also to gain experience and acknowledge things, and to get all that information and line your ducks up in a row. So you can choose a new direction in the future, because yes, that could be prevalent. You have 5 or more Earth planets in your chart this year, so your material needs are going to be emphasized. So security and stability are sought. It may or may not be attained, and all kinds of work and employment are emphasized, even housework and chores. So employment-related changes and monetary concerns will be common this year. Even everyday survival techniques are going to be distressed or stressed. How to maintain a good job, how to buy a car, pay your bills, your rent, your apartment. All those day-to-day things are going to be prevalent this year. So common sense is going to be an important part of your practical decision-making. Your ability to accomplish tasks and provide for material needs is going to be important. Your sun is in the ninth house. So that's an indicator to reassess your beliefs. And it's not limited to higher thoughts, but it includes philosophical beliefs, but it also includes ideas about yourself, your abilities, your relationships. Yeah, you may have this long-standing belief in your ability to accomplish something difficult. And if that's the case, this is the year to make that attempt. As you test your beliefs, one or more of them may prove to be it may be a misconception, it may not be true. So put your beliefs to the test and see whether they work for you. They must be proven, and they are the cornerstones for your future actions. Your spiritual philosophy is the guiding force, as I said. Don't be too idealistic or self-defeating. So that means when things happen to you, turning the other cheek at this time makes no sense. Your spiritual and religious beliefs could lead you towards fulfillment or peace. So again, maybe doing your yoga, looking for a higher place to turn your energies, or meditation. Any of those things could help you. This is a time also to practice what you preach. If you're not aware of the inconsistencies in your beliefs, then this is the time to test those out, because if you don't, they're going to manifest in your behavior. It's a great time for learning. If you wish to continue education or take a course, now's the time to do so. Refresher courses professionally will help you. You can study any topic during the year, and it doesn't have to be formal education. Yeah, you can do it on your own or in a structured environment. So, and if you've got all that under your belt, and if you've done that learning, then this is the time to lecture or teach it. You're going to travel more this year for sure. Outside the country and overseas, because you have more planets placed in your ninth house. So as your returning solar sun is in your ninth house, the place of travel, you also have your Mercury, which is your rules Virgo, is also in your ninth house this year. You want to make changes this year. Maybe a job transfer, relocation, yeah. And this can be beneficial because you want to have changes with learning or regarding travel or work. It's not meant to be a depressing time, but there is some stark realism. Again, when we talked about paying your bills and doing the day-to-day things and making sure that you had that foundation, that structural foundation. So that's kind of going to be prevalent. So you've got this part where follow your dreams, but take care of your day-to-day stuff first. Does that resonate with you?
Yep.
Okay. So your moon is in your third. So this is an interplay between conscious and unconscious thoughts. So try not to let your feelings overwhelm you this year. Common sense, use your common sense. So try to integrate your rational thoughts with your emotional thoughts, so that your thoughts can be not only emotionally understood, but intellectually understood as well. You may be of two minds, especially if there's a relationship coming up, and there may be one coming up, because your heart usually tells you one thing while your mind tells you another. So this is a good time to get to integrate those feelings and thoughts. And it can lead to great insight. Even though it is a mixed message, you can look at it and go, okay, what does this mean? All right, how do I feel about this, as opposed to, is this beneficial for me, or what is advantageous for me with this? So all that sort of 360 degree, not only physically, but emotionally, practically, all that complete cycle of thought would be good. So what I'm saying is just thinking with your heart when you get into a relationship is not going to serve you. This would be a good time to purchase a home. And that may be, or even to move. If you do, and it's not to say you will or you won't, the tendency or there's a propensity there, it would be in the last 3 months of your solar return, which would be like around, yeah, exactly. So now we have Mercury, so this means, again, going back to school, taking a course, learning something. Or again, you could be the teacher rather than the student. You're more likely to be involved in friendships with a number of people rather than in-depth friendships with only a few individuals. Your relationship style this year will lean more heavily towards less intimate forms of relating. If you're not involved in an intimate relationship, it's unlikely you will form one now. This placement is usually associated with playing the field. So you may, maybe you're just this year you're going to feel the field, go out and see who you can see, and not put too much emotionally significance on it. Even if you do have your eye on one particular influence, they may not be ready to make the commitment at this time. So the focus now is on expanding your circle of friends, and your house, your actual perfected house, and we'll talk about perfection, is the 11th, which is our groups, the groups that we're involved with, our friendship. So it's kind of the house of the why not. So you're going to look at relationships versus the need for freedom. So your friends can be very helpful and a very good source of strength. You're going to look at your friends as some people to help you with things that are coming up during this year. It's good to develop a network within your community too. You may be joining or getting involved with groups or attend regularly scheduled functions. So group involvement is going to play a more prevalent role this year, and that would have started last August moving into September. Your Mars is in your 3rd, so you will have the ability to speak this year and be able to motivate others. You're assertive and direct, and this is not the year for diplomacy, so there'll be really no pussyfooting around. And your wit is going to be sharp, and you're going to be calling a spade a spade. Ideas will move quickly through your head. Again, excellent time for learning. Don't waste your time wandering aimlessly in your thoughts. And don't jump to conclusions either, because Mars, we tend to move quickly. You'll lose your temper more this year. And don't jump to, as I said, don't jump to conclusions. I see that plays. You'll have a sibling that will play a role in a conflict you have this year, either directly or indirectly, especially if you're angry with this person over past events or presently involved in an ongoing dispute. It's true, you're good at fighting this year, and you're going to be involved in a situation that demands your self-defense. And if you must defend yourself verbally, your words can be well-placed and insightful. So don't just be simply heard, make it count. Jupiter in the 12th indicates the possibility of an overwhelming influence during this year, which can cause emotional problems. So this is the time to dig into the past. Okay, what are my triggers that make me feel the way I do? So it's like sometimes we tend to go on autopilot and we feel things and go, oh, that again. And as soon as you go, oh, that again, it sets up this pattern of, oh, this is a bad thing, rather than, oh, let's look at this with curiosity. So this is the year to look at those things and uncover those things that perhaps are not so much sticky, but they can be uncomfortable. But in order to see a 360-degree version of ourselves, this kind of thing is going to be, this is kind of going to be the year for you to do that. It can also be optimistic. I mean, Jupiter does give you a sense of optimism, and it gives you a divine sense of protection. So when Jupiter crossed the ascendant, which was September 11th, I don't know if anything happened during that time for you, but around that time, around the first couple of weeks of September, would have been a yes, there you go. There's your opportunity. Now, that could be in any part of your life, but September, 1st of September, around that time, was a very crucial time for you. That resonate with you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Saturn in the second house, you may have to live with less financially this year or curb your material appetite. But money for you is not a means to an end in itself. So you're going to be making a major decision this year, returning school, starting a business, working on a long-term project, moving, or something that you're going to have to put a lot of money in, which will lead to financial belt tightening. It's also a good time to reassess your value system. Your second house, which is where we have Saturn in, is your house of self-worth. So set your priorities, set your goals for the future, and make sure those goals will lean towards self-satisfaction rather than financial compensation. Do you understand what I mean by that?
I do.
Okay. So you may feel like you want to limit your excess and overindulgences because that sort of, oh gosh, I'm putting out a lot of money this year may come up quite a few times. Mm-hmm. Change of job during this year or a change in working conditions. This can either be self-initiated or beyond your control. If you're presently dissatisfied with your job, now is the time to investigate new placements. You can change companies entirely or simply transfer to another office or go into business for yourself, but you can make it what you want to make it. If you maintain your old job, changes in your daily routine are likely. And that could include relocation to the office, new office procedures, travel, new computer equipment, all that falls under the umbrella. So normal operations this year may be disrupted. Mm-hmm. Also scheduling changes. Your office may adopt a more flexible schedule for you, and you might be able to set your own hours. If there's no change, then work will become very nerve-wracking. So those changes need to be made. And not only will it be nerve-wracking, it'll be tedious and stressful. So this has all started as of August. So a lot of these things I'm saying may or may not have already come into fruition. If all goes well, any change in your job will involve a variety of tasks and greater freedom. You need a position that will give you a new challenge, coupled with a changing schedule and the freedom to work to your potential. Because trying to stay at the same job, doing the same thing, will only create stress. And so that goes on quite a bit in the reading because it is really pretty important. It's good to learn relaxation techniques and use them to get rid of that tension at the end of the day. Don't bring your problems home with you. You'll need this time for recuperation. Cut back on coffee and take stress preventative vitamins. So correct the job situations which are the most stressful. Health habits will be erratic during this year, and you may experience sporadic health problems. Tensions at work are the most likely cause. You could have very crazy hours, or your eating habits, including rapid weight gain or loss, could occur. So it's a good year to practice moderation. Uncertainty is connected with your home. Again, you could move. Neptune also increases the amount of spiritual attunement you have, or your sense of purpose here on the earth plane. You have more innate sensitivities, and your compassion can increase. But again, you're able to cut through what's true and what's not true. The first manifestation of this new code is in the home, but spiritual insights are now going to be expanded into other areas of your life as Neptune moves through your chart. So Neptune right now is in the 4th house, which is the house of the home. So, which is kind of weird. So what I mean by that is, like, we have 3rd house is communication, 4th house is home, 5th house is children, that sort of thing. You have your Pluto in the 2nd house. So changes in financial situations are associated with that. So you could come into an increase in money or a decrease. You could be starting a new business, or you could be dealing with different groups of people this year. The task this year for you is to work towards controlling your own finances, both with income and outflow. Self-worth is also associated with changes in income. So you'll need to grow to appreciate who you are, as opposed to what you're earning or what you're doing in your professional field. So that sense of self-esteem will not, try not to let it be predicated on your job. You have a grand Earth trine in your solar return this year. So I don't know if you were able to pull up those charts that I emailed you.
I have them up. I don't really know what they mean, but would you like me to open them?
So, yeah.
Okay.
I'll just give you a little bit of a visual.
Okay, let's see here. Okay.
So now there's one that says Rebecca M, and just below it, it says solar return.
Yep.
Okay. Do you see the big triangle in your chart?
Let me just shrink the file here. The big triangle. Yes, I do.
Okay. That's called a grand trine. And the reason it's most prevalent, because we don't usually use aspects or try to relate the planets together unless they're 1 or 2 degrees. And here you have a 1 degree trine in your solar return chart. So the apex of the chart, or of the triangle, is your sun. And your sun is your sense of accomplishment. Your sun is your vocation. Your sun is where you're meant to shine. Your sun is learning about who you are. And there we have Saturn, which is it's connected to, which is in the 2nd house. And that's where we work hard, where we try to build up our work ethic. And it's in the house of your self-esteem. If we move along that line, we see it's in Uranus, which is in the 6th house. And Uranus is like thought patterns, where we think outside the box, the rebel, it's like innovation. It's like brainstorming. It's like eureka, that whole thing. So what you're doing is you're applying hard work, and you're thinking in new ways to support you learning who you are, because your sun is in your house of learning and your house of world philosophy. And so what you're doing this year on the bigger picture is gaining a sense of perspective of who you are through learning. through hard work, through using your sense of values, through changing those values. All of this is predicated and thinking, wow, I'm getting some real insights here of who I am, why I'm here, where do I need to go, how do I need to get there. All of this can be under that umbrella this year for you. I also want you to look at, as we see, Jupiter is in the 12th house. So I've marked it in blue, and it's right in, if you look at around, it's almost like pie shaped. See the number 12?
Yes.
Okay, so in that house is Jupiter, which looks like a number 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so Jupiter, again, in your natal chart, that's your chart ruler. That's in rulership in your natal chart. It's in the first house of who you are. So that's all. It's also going to be combined to start to uncover and dig up things about yourself so that you can find out your sense of your place in the world. Does that resonate with you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that's good because that tells me that I'm letting you know that you're moving in the direction that you need to be moving in.
Cool.
Now, having said that, again, there's no right or wrong here. These are just indicators. How you choose to use them is totally up to you. So when we look at a chart, there's never right or wrong, good or bad. Everything in the chart is a gift. And that's how we look at the natal chart, because it's a propensity to explore, to strengthen, to learn. And that's why we do readings. That's why I do readings, because I like to uncover and I like to see what makes you tick. And I'm a quintessential teacher myself. But anyway, enough about me. So that was your solar return. Any questions?
Nope.
And how did you find that?
I find it makes a lot of sense. I have been doing a lot of self-exploration work, and there's lots of travel coming planned for this year. So that being said, there was a lot of money that went out the door, so need to, for the travel, and so need to kind of do some belt tightening and yeah, so I think,
Okay.
yeah, it hit on all points.
So that's okay, good. But I mean, you know, that is being what it is. I just want you to recognize that I just want you to have that extra information, and you can choose to do with it what you want.
Yeah, no,
Okay,
I
so
totally
now,
appreciate it.
oh, good, great. So now we're going to move on to transits. Now, what transits are is that we have our astrological chart, as I said earlier in the reading, and so it's our astrological DNA. It's like our blueprint. When we were born, boom, you've got all these planets in various houses and in various signs. The transits are the active planets that are moving through the zodiac as we speak. So when they hit the same degree as one of your planets, it's like you pulling a pinball machine and it hits one of the things. They go ding, 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 and it gives off this information. So solar return is kind of the big picture of what's going on this year. Transits are actual things that will happen or circumstances that will happen to you at certain periods of time during your astrological year. Now, what I've decided to do is I have taken your transits, because transits are time sensitive, so it really is kind of a waste of time for me to go through all the past transits from August. So what I'm going to do is all the future transits from January right up till January or December of this year.
Cool. Okay.
So the first one, and the reason why I'm talking about, because usually we look at transits as major planets, so the slower moving planets. But I'm using Jupiter this year because Jupiter is highlighted. I talked earlier about perfection. So let me just go back to that for 1 second. Perfection is a very old kind of it's a divination that we go through, and each year of our birth chart, one house is highlighted. So this year, the house that's highlighted for you is the 11th house, which is the groups, associations, friends, and it's ruled by Venus. So that's kind of where the emphasis is on your friendships, and your ascendant is in your first house. So we move kind of, I won't confuse you with all the details, but friendships, beliefs, destiny, goals and dreams, all of these things are highlighted this year.
Okay.
Okay. So here we have Jupiter. Jupiter is opposing Saturn, and I'm using Jupiter because Jupiter is your chart ruler. So usually what happens is there's 3 hits of each planet. First hit is where we get an inclination that there's something going on. Oh, something's happening. The second hit is, oh, as a result of this happening, this is the action being taken. The third hit is usually what the outcome is of the first 2. So if you look, I haven't sent you this, but you'll see dates, and these dates will indicate when these things are happening. And I will send you a written copy of this with all the dates, and I'll have like a 1:3. So that means first hit out of 3, or 2:3, which is the second hit out of 3. If you've got any questions about that, I will be happy to sort of clarify that for you. So your first
You have
one.
sent them, by the way. They're on that file.
Oh, the written part?
Yep. The
Oh,
dates
yay.
and the highlights with 1:1, 1:3, 2.
Oh, so do you have that right now with
Yep.
the transits?
Yep.
Oh, okay, great. So you see the first one, Jupiter opposing Saturn?
I'm not as familiar as you are with the signs.
Oh, no, but I mean it's actually written, a written paper.
Oh, well, this one, it says the date of the first one that I see now is like January 17th.
Okay.
And then it goes February 9th, March 21st.
Oh, okay. It's like a list.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's not the one I'm talking
Okay.
about. But thanks. Anyway, so the first one is going to hit around February 16th.
Okay.
So this is where you're going to learn to handle growth versus limitation. You're dealing with a strong urge to grow and to be optimistic, as opposed to your requirements to be serious and disciplined or accept limitation. So this is in relationship to how you move forward in the world, your finances, your values, business or personal, partnerships may be involved. So your task here is to achieve balance, tipped slightly in favor of expansion, because we have Jupiter, the planet of expansion, as opposed to Saturn, the planet of structure. So they're making a relationship to each other. If you overexpand or you overextend, you're going to feel frustration. So the trick here is to balance those energies. And that will become with your partnerships, with your values, but you'll probably initiate this yourself. So you'll have a hit in February, one in June, and one in October. So I just want to make you aware that when these happen, you can look at them and go, oh yeah, I see that kind of energy that's coming through my chart.
Okay.
So the next one here is Jupiter conjunct Jupiter. And these are not exactly in order. I'm going to tell you this one because Jupiter is such an important planet in your chart, as we talked about earlier. So this is Jupiter, as I said, Jupiter conjunct Jupiter. Now, just to give you a reference point, is when my Jupiter conjuncted my Jupiter, that was the day my studio was finished building. So that means that that starts a cycle of opportunity. And a Jupiter cycle is 12 years. And so this is the beginning of a new cycle for you starting in November of 2019. So, and this is all self-initiated. So you're going to be looking this year to find something new and exciting. And again, because your Jupiter is in the first house and your Jupiter is so prevalent, it's even more important for you. So this begins a new 11 to 12 year cycle of growth and progress. Look for new opportunities to initiate. This is a transit of great hope and expectation, but you'll have to put the energy in it to get reward from it. It's a time of positive energy flow where you could improve your education, travel, expand your business, invest successfully, or increase your personal freedom. Caution, don't take on more than you can handle. Be alert to any situation or person you meet who offers you the chance to grow. This is the time to go after what you want. So that's your Jupiter conjunct your Jupiter. So now we move into February of this year, and you, again, this starts the transit. You have one in February, which will start the kind of energy. Then another one in July, which will be the action as a result of this energy. And then the last one will be in November, and that will sort of give you the outcome of all as a result of everything that happened during this time. So this is a time for reality and affairs of the heart. You may feel like relationships evade you at this time, but your inner commitment will be persistent. In financial matters, limit your spending. Make sure to make room for both financial work and day-to-day duties. Personal indulgences in your life, highlighting partners, groups, and friendships could be prevalent. So again, this is all about your sense of let's find out what our values are, and this will sort of affect your day-to-day, your money, your financial situation, your day-to-day, your friends, the groups you're involved in. So that's Saturn opposing Venus. The next one is Saturn square Uranus. Now, we always use Saturn because Saturn's kind of one of those heavy-hitting planets. So your need for freedom may be hindered by financial limitations. So, or there's going to be, because it's highlighted, siblings are highlighted, there may be a touchiness towards siblings or irritation with them. You're being called here to balance your life. Discipline with creative work is highlighted, perhaps in communication. So this is a good time to balance conventionality with unconventionality. So you're going to learn which rules am I going to break and which ones am I going to follow. And this is going to take place around the 9th of February, again around July, and again around November. So you're starting to see a pattern here during the same times. Mm-hmm. You have a Saturn in conjunct Saturn. So this is a very significant time when changes will take place with respect to a partner, your personal values, or your finances. So decisions that you make now will have long-term significance. So that's going to happen in March, June, and December. And again, I will send you all this information with the dates.
Okay.
You have Uranus trine Mars, and that's going to happen in July, and then again in September. Yes, and the third transit will happen in the following year. So freedom and creative energy is highlighted, and this is a good time to pursue your creative interests, to travel. Are you traveling in July?
June.
June, okay. Or push your career. This will be a time when you meet someone you may have a relationship with. So that, you may want to watch that in July. Jupiter is going to be moving into your second house in December of 2019, and it's going to be there till February of 2021. So when a bigger planet moves into a house in your chart, it's time to sit up and take notice. So this can indicate gaining more money or material possessions or resources. In the larger sense, your focus on expanding what you value, your spiritual beliefs, your ideas, your standards, and your sense of justice could all be highlighted. It's a good time to be clear about what you want, and this is the time to go and get it. So again, remember how I talked about this was a prep year?
Yes.
So next year you're going to be actually moving into, okay, what do I value? What do I need? Maybe this will give you an increase of money. So I don't want to confuse you, but our solar return, we've talked about moving from August to August. So this is kind of almost sits in the middle of that time. So this will be moving from December past that time. So you could be establishing what you need, and then how you get it will be moving on into the new year.
Okay.
Try not to get, I'm going to be talking about progressions now. And transits, what I just talked about, are things that happen to you. Progressions are kind of things that happen through you. So it's kind of the energy that's around. So a transit could be like me giving you currency or money or something to hold in your hand, whereas progressions could be the air that you breathe, or if you're smelling something, or it's a little more nebulous than the transit itself.
Okay.
You could be, this is mid-January to mid-April. Depression could be present at this time. Oh, and you may have a feeling of neglect or being overworked. Your duties, your day-to-day duties, may be heavy at this time. So just make note, if you're feeling any of those feelings, that this is going to pass.
Okay.
You have Mercury trine your moon from mid-December to mid-March. Good time to travel, start new hobbies, or a learning situation would be a lot easier during this time. You have Mercury sextile your sun from June 2018 to June 2020. Good time to go back to school. New intellectual people will enter your life. Detailed work will be easier at this time, and you'll be able to negotiate to have better working conditions. So this would have started of June 2018. And the last one is Venus conjunct Mars, August of 2018 to August of 2020. New business ventures, choose partners wisely, guard against being impulsive, and watch your choice of love relationships. So this could be a time where you're going to meet someone during this 2-year window. So again, you want someone who's your intellectual equal, who will support you as much as you support them, who will be romantic and sensitive. I think I want that person too.
Well, good brothers.
Yes. Anyway, so that's your reading.
Wonderful.
So, and so I will be sending you the written copy. So, if you have any feedback, you can jot me off an email, or I'd be happy to answer any questions. But I think I'm asked, this is a question that I have for you. Do you get the gist of where the energy is being directed this year for yourself?
Absolutely.
Okay. And does that make sense for you?
It does. It does. Not just this year, but kind of moving forward, and kind of the tone for this year. It all makes a ton of sense to me, and it's all, like I said, it's all things I've been aware of. So, yeah, the reading was, it just made a ton of sense with everything that's going on and the work that I've been doing and the plans. And yeah, it shone some really good light in terms of the natal chart on, some areas to be aware of and the gifts that I have and, why things are the way they are. And yeah, so very, very
Wonderful.
enlightening. Yes.
Good. Okay, so we're going to end this session so we can thank you for being there. And yeah. All right, are we off the air?
I will stop the recording right now.
Okay.